Okay, we're going to start now. My name is Kathy Roberts. I am the Tidy Tutor, and this is Coffee Talk. It's something that we do on inside of Tidy Tutor Insiders, our own little Tidy Tutor club, where we understand each other, and there's no judging, and there's lots of help and support because we need it. Once a week we have a call, and that's what this is. And I just choose a topic that just happens to either be on my heart or anything that comes across that anybody wants me to talk about, then I'll talk about that too. If there is anyone that would like to ask a question, please, this is meant to be interactive, even though today's coffee talk is going to be a little bit different. Normally, I talk about a subject, and then if anybody has anything they'd like to say, then, we break whatever I'm talking about and, we have discussion. But today what I'm doing is I'm going to read a section of my book because it really came to my attention that we need to understand that we have to feel good about ourselves. When you're in a complete disaster, it is very easy to just feel like less than, just to feel less than. And that leads to a slippery slope that puts us in a position where it's almost like we're doomed because you feel bad about the mess, you can't do anything. Then not doing anything makes you feel bad, and then you still don't do anything, and then you feel horrible about that. And then normally people are saying stuff to you that live with you, live around you, and then that even makes things worse. So the way my book is it is a 12-step program type thing. Instead of Alcoholics Anonymous, it is Slobs Anonymous, and this is step 7. It is chapter 8. Step 7 is humbly accept the fact that we are wonderful just as we are, even if we never pick up an article of clothing or wash a dish, even if nothing changes externally at all. The mindset that all external criteria must be in line for any individual to be happy with themselves is bogus. Everyone's standard is different depending on what their ism is. Let's say your father was adamant about a particular perfectionist methods of doing things. He was always checking your homework, making you do it over and over again because it was not to his standard. He checked your bed after it was made, and if it was a bit out of line, he pulled the bedding off and made you remake it until it was right according to his specifications. If this scenario is true for you, then most likely the standard you hold for the external criteria will be quite different from the person whose ism was that of proper diction. If your outward appearance was all that mattered to your caregiver, and you were always put under scrutiny and judged by certain standards for appearance, your standard of okay would be very different than others. Our requirements for okay are not external, they are internal. If they were external, then all of us would feel good about ourselves if X, Y, and Z were fulfilled. There is no perfection in life. Learning to accept that and embrace life on life's terms is the beginning to experiencing joy. In our particular challenge, it's in the organizational category of life. It is easy for us to measure our value of self based on the condition of our home. The feelings of inadequacy and self-loathing are rampant within our ranks. Even for those of us who mask it with the outward acceptance, saying things like, this is just how I am, or I work better this way, or I am organized, I know where everything is, I'm just messy. Even with all kinds of justification, we still feel shame at the unexpected guest's arrival. Add to that the inability to fulfill our deepest dreams and desires because we just can't get our acts together. Living life becomes a time bomb for frustration and inner pain. Your next assignment is to think good thoughts of you. Deliberately list all your positive attributes, write them on a 3x5 card, and tape them to the mirror that you use most often when you're grooming. Here are some of the things that you could choose from. You can write your own, of course. These are things that I could think of about me. I'm helpful, I'm giving, I'm loving, I'm creative, I'm positive, I love to laugh, I'm funny, I'm compassionate, I love to play, I'm encouraging, I'm faithful, I'm kind, I'm patient, I'm gentle, I love people, I love to live, I am a good friend, I love to learn. Because of the social stigma that we OCP, organizationally challenged people, hold, being seen as lazy, unmotivated, and often even dirty, it is no wonder that we many times feel bad about ourselves. If you can relate to that statement, please meditate and take time to undo this negative association that you have internalized about yourself. Just as it is inappropriate to think negatively about yourself because you can't play the piano or learn a language easily, it is also not appropriate to feel bad about yourself because you cannot keep an orderly house or life. What is important is that you love yourself, accept yourself, and think good thoughts about you. Have you ever heard the phrases, like attracts like, or as a man thinketh, so is he? If you haven't heard these phrases, then Google them. I'm going to expound on these statements as well as I explore with you the process of becoming organized while learning to love yourself. First, I wish to begin by saying that I have compassion on anyone who has had less than an exemplary childhood, which of course most of us haven't had an exemplary childhood. Some more devastating than others, but the kinds of childhood that I'm writing about here are the ones where there were personal verbal comments made by the parent or guardian regarding the child's looks, personality, habits, etc. I implore you to not compare yourself with anyone else's experience. This often tends to invalidate your feelings and pain and keep you from addressing your issues. Denial is a serious and dreadful fixation. Secret and hidden thoughts have power, but when they are brought out into the open, they lose authority and eventually shrivel up and die, or just disappear. There is a root from which all dysfunction stems. There's always a root to a problem. Believing the lies that someone told you while growing up is the root to many of our issues. You may be thinking, well, how dare I feel bad about myself? Look at Gibby's life, what she went through. I had nothing to live through like she did. That might be true, but acknowledging Gibby's poor circumstances will not help you with yours, nor does it make yours non-existent. If you say negative things or think unkind thoughts about yourself, if you compare yourself to others and see yourself less than they are, it is necessary to address the root of why you do those things. I give you permission to be selfish, which is a word that has been given a raw deal in my opinion. We must be selfish. We must think of ourselves and often. When you are on an airplane, you are told to first put the oxygen mask on yourself before helping a child with his. The reason for this is if you lose consciousness, you will not be able to help your child at all. By trying to be selfless and putting others first, you actually can harm them. How can we take care of anyone else if we are not properly taking care of ourselves? When Mother Teresa was ministering to the poorest of the poor in Calcutta, she at first decided to eat and live as though she was helping, in order to remain humble and fair. This lifestyle was soon abandoned because Mother Teresa and her volunteers lacked the strength to help those they were called to help. The selfless thought that inspired their living as though they were the ones who they were being ministered to was misguided. Although well-intentioned, absolute selflessness does not work. We must think of ourselves. Now I'm going to take just one teeny tiny break because if you want to say anything, I want you to raise your hand, okay? This is not normally the way Coffee Talk goes. Usually it is me talking about a subject, but today's I'm reading a chapter in my book just because it was what I was inspired to do. But that doesn't mean that we don't have the time to talk to each other and for you to raise your hand, okay? All right. Meaning well is never a prerequisite to success, just as good intentions are nothing without action. Not being aware of natural law does not exempt you from experiencing their consequences. A child who is unaware of the law of gravity, who thoughtlessly walks off the stairs or tumbles off a couch falls just the same. They soon learn what the law of gravity is and how to respect it. You may not be aware of the law of attraction, but that does not mean that you do not experience it daily. You may not be aware that what you think about most you bring about, but that does not mean that it does not happen. You may not believe that what you expect out of yourself will manifest into reality no matter how bad you want the opposite, but that does not negate the truth. We get what we expect. Albert Einstein said, "The most important question you'll ever ask is whether the universe is a friendly place. The answer you give will be your reality." Also, it has been said by Charles Capps, he was the author of The Tongue, A Creative Force, "Those that say they can and those that say they can't are both right." Right now, I ask you to contradict any negative picture you have of yourself. You are not disorganized, just as you are not unmusical. You simply have not had proper instruction. Think order. Wake up thinking that you can be whatever you choose to be. Stop listening to those old tapes and get yourself some new ones. Children are the true victims in this world. They have no choice. They are a captive audience and are subject to their parent or guardian's desires. However, as adults, we must come to terms that childhood is over and we are not victims any longer. Get help with issues that are plaguing your present. Address thought patterns and behaviors that are counterproductive to happiness. This can be done through many different venues: private therapy, competent counseling in your brand of faith, prayer, meditation, reading books directed toward helping with what ails you, and then taking the actions necessary to change. In whatever way our self-esteem has been damaged, it is not relevant at this point. What is relevant and critical is its repair. This has to be done deliberately, and you are the one who needs to do the restoration work. Here again, there is a no excuse rule that applies. If you want to have a better self-image, you must make it happen. Once again, I tell you to be your own parent. There is nothing you can do about what has already been done, but you have complete power over what will be done, what is, what pathways you keep clear, and which ones you neglect. I realize it is difficult to change tapes that have been playing in your mind for years, but it is not impossible. In fact, it is necessary if you wish to see change and be who you wish to be. Years ago, when life was not so great for me, I came across Wayne Dyer on PBS. I loved what he had to say, so I picked up his book. In the introduction, I read something that changed my life. What I learned was, if I continue to blame someone for why things are as they are, however justifiable they were, I would not be able to change a thing about how I was living. I realized that by focusing on what someone had done or was doing, I was saying, "There is nothing I can do, my hands are tied." Well, that freaked me out. If I continued blaming someone for the state of my life, nothing would ever change for me. I had to take responsibility, which just means the ability to respond. It does not mean that what has happened is because of something you have done or that whatever has happened was all right. It means simply respond to whatever happens or has happened with a deliberate ability. Something else that made a great difference to me was learning the meaning of the word forgive. It does not mean that what was done was okay. It means to let go of or to untie. Picture yourself dragging around behind you things that were done to you or said about you. Spiritually, this is exhausting and it manifests itself physically. Even when sitting still, by not forgiving, our past hurts are right there beside us. This does not serve us. It can only hurt us and keep us from being who we are meant to be and from living the life we long for. Let go of past injustices and give yourself the ability to move on in a direction of your choice. Make a conscious decision to forgive. Say this. All right, now I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to say it as if you're saying it too. So if I annoy the crap out of you, I'm really sorry. But if you wanted to repeat it, this is the only way I could do it. Okay. I know that what was done to me and the things that were said, okay, I know that what was done to me, the things that were said to me were not right, to me were not right, even very wrong, even very wrong. But still, I can make a conscious decision, to take my life back and forgive, to take my life back and forgive. Let go of what was done to me, let go of what was done to me. That person or those people cannot pay the price. That person or those people cannot pay the price to restore what was taken from me, to restore what was taken from me. I will stop expecting payment. I will stop expecting payment. I will let go of those actions against me and leave them on the curb. I will let go of those actions against me and leave them on the curb. If a thought comes up that makes me feel bad, if a thought comes up that makes me feel bad, I will meditate, seek help, talk to someone. I will meditate, seek help, talk to someone. Read something inspirational, but I will not continue down the road of self-pity. Read something inspirational, but I will not continue down the road of self-pity. I acknowledge the fact that I was hurt. I acknowledge the fact that I was hurt. I validate my feelings by the realization. I validate my feelings by the realization that those things did happen to me, that those things did happen to me. But I refuse to lose another minute of my life. But I refuse to lose another minute of my life. Going back to a time that cannot serve me. Going back to a time that cannot serve me. I am thankful that I am free. I am thankful that I am free. Help me to continue to a new road. Help me to continue to a new road. One that I choose to take and not one that was chosen for me. One that I choose to take and not one that was chosen for me. Now I say, help me, God, to continue down the new road. You could say that too if you want to. Then you need to rejoice. Be glad, get happy, and stay that way. You are the master of your future. The past is gone and there is nothing you can do about it anymore. Whether self-afflicted or unjustly placed upon you, the past is over. There are many great examples of people who endured great hardships and were able to move on and do great things. These same people live happy and full lives. Oprah Winfrey, Colin Powell, Dan Caro, and Joyce Meyer, to name a few. I recommend looking into those people's lives. There are lessons, inspiration, and encouragement in learning about them, as well as some wonderful help on how to move on after you have been hurt. Should you decide not to go the route of forgiveness, you still can become organized by following this program. The point to all of this is the importance of loving yourself and implementing change. Whether you believe you are, or for whatever reason, you will act accordingly. I propose that you believe that you have all the potential in the world to be organized. What do you have to lose? So that was that. What I did was something that I normally don't do, and I don't know if I'll do it again. I guess I'll wait to hear any feedback from anybody, what they thought. Normally, I do like to just have an interactive discussion. I do have a question, so I get to see it. Thank you, Marianne. All right, Terry said, good analogy from Mother Teresa. I'm always thinking of others first and then feel bad when I'm not taking care of myself. We are trying to explain the law of attraction to our daughter. Do you have any suggestions on how to get her to understand this better? She is 32, so not a child. She thinks that she is poor and does things that keep her poor. I like you reading the chapter. Oh, good. Okay. As far as your daughter, I have grown children too. And if anybody wants me to unmute them, we can all hear then, all right? If you want to talk instead of type, then that's just fine. I'll unmute you. You'll talk to me. I'll talk back, all right? And then everybody could hear. As far as your daughter, I understand this. I have grown children too. And there's only so much you could do. My father, he was a big one for giving us books. He used to give us books like crazy. I think I'm the only one that read them, but I did read them. So it might not be a bad thing to give her a book, There's a great book. Well, it's very Christian. It's called The Tongue of Creative Force by Charles Capps. It's old. It's an old book, but it's still in print and it's good. Um, he used to hand out books to everybody and say, "Oh, you got to read this." Of course, she doesn't have to, but she might. I don't think you can really do anything else but pray for her. Visualize her getting the answers that you're trying to give her. And I'm glad that you liked reading the chapter. I kind of liked it too. Okay, let's see. Oh, thanks, Mary. Oh, she loves to read, then that's great. Then and you never know. It might be a book that she puts down and never picks up, or like she'll pick it up in 5 years from now. We kind of have to believe that we're all where we're supposed to be, and yeah, we would like to be somewhere else, but it is what it is. So maybe in 4 years she'll read it, but whatever it is, it'll be the right time, and then you being an example, but I completely understand. I did a vision board, and it was probably about 4 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I think. And I got divorced 6 years ago, and my whole life was in a blender. And it was in a blender before I got divorced, and then it just was in a different blender later. I had some stuff in one blender, I just jumped into another one. It was a happier blender though, but it was still a blender. And I had a vision board, and I had all these things on it. And my one son said to me later on, like maybe a year later or less, yeah, maybe a year later, when I was talking to him about expecting things good to happen, and he said, "Oh yeah, and what about your vision board, Ma?" Like it was almost like he just didn't want to believe it. And I said, "Well, Mike, let's take a look at that." And there were so many things. One thing that was on there that was phenomenal was I never went on a vacation before. I never, I was married for 26 years. We never went on a vacation. And when I was growing up, we didn't go on vacation either because I was one of eight. My mother died when I was five. I was the baby. My father had 18 years to 5 years old. So there was no vacations for us. He was lucky that he got dinner on the table every night, going to work at 4 in the morning. You know what I mean? I mean, the holy mackerel. So it's just the fact is that I never had a vacation. And so when I got divorced and I did my vision board, one of the things that I put up there was a cruise ship, because I always wanted to go on a cruise, and an island, like a view of an island, with there were trees on both sides and some shrubbery in the center, and you saw the water through the trees that were on the both sides of the picture. And I had that on there. And within that year, that was one of the things that came to pass from that vision board. Not only did I go um, on that trip, but I took a picture of that, not even realizing. I got home and I looked at my board and I was like, oh my God, I took that picture. And I got my pictures out and I put it up next to it. It was the identical view. So I don't know if that did any good for him. I really don't. But I have to think that it might have, you know. They have their discouragements, but what are you going to do? You can't quit. I used to argue with God all the time because I was very diligent in seeking him, very diligent. Because there's a verse in the Bible that says, God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. And so I said, all right, I'm going to diligently seek you. I need some rewarding. Things aren't good. So I used to argue with God. I would go for these walks. I used to walk a real lot, a real lot. So I would just go for walks. And I'd kind of yell at God and say, I don't understand. I don't get it. Why are things not happening? Why are things not happening? What else am I supposed to do? And then, he had me calm myself down. And what I got in my heart was, well, how long do you continue? Can you say to your body, um, well, you know what? I've eaten for 27 years now, and so I'm just not going to eat anymore. No, your body's going to say, you're going to starve to death. Or if you're doing exercises, say, and you're working out, and you start to get muscles, you're starting to look good, and God knows it takes a good 3 to 6 months before you even see anything happening. So, there is a lot of discouragement when we're working towards something good. It takes a while to see something happening, but it doesn't mean that nothing's happening. It just means you have to continue. Because if you are doing really, really well, going to the gym or working out on a regular basis, doing things healthy for yourself, and then you say, you know what? I don't got to do this anymore. I'm going to take a break for a while. Your body silently tells you that it doesn't work. It doesn't yell at you. It doesn't scream at you. It doesn't say, you got to start doing something. These muscles aren't going to, you can say to your body all you want. I've been exercising and training for 2 years now, and I look awesome, and I'm taking a break. Well, you know what? You don't work out for another year or two, which is, your body's so amazing that it really can go for quite a while and still look good. But if you go for a while, it's just going to go right back to the way it was before. You can't quit in the middle or stop what made you successful. Because if you quit in the middle, like God was just saying to me, like, well, you get to a certain point, Kathy, and then you get discouraged and you quit. How if you're going to reach the top of the mountain and you say I'm too tired and you set up camp, you're never going to reach the top of the mountain, and you can complain all you want in the center of that mountain in your freaking little tent with your little, campfire that you build there, and complain and bitch and moan, but you're not going to get to the top because you quit. And I don't know if you ever heard it, but they say that you're the most tired when you're almost there, because you've been working a long time. Trying to get to that top of that mountain is work, and people get exhausted. Take a break, go ahead, but don't give up. See what I mean? All right, I could ramble, can't I? Have anything to say? Have any questions? Okay, we have something. Do you want to say this, Terry, or do you want me to just read it? And then if you want me to, oh, I can read it. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I'm looking in the wrong spot. All right. I'm feeling more organized already, even after a few weeks of your classes and talks. I see myself more organized, and I am excited about the days now. Vision boards are a great idea. Need to start working on one from my retirement days. Yeah. And yes, I really do understand that. The thing with being disorganized, I hate that word. The thing with us organizationally challenged people is that without a plan, without a direction, without something to direct us to do every day, we do a lot of nothing. So even just with the plan in place does an insane amount of, I hate to use the word insane. I hate to use bad words to describe something good. So I'm going to contradict that and say it's just amazing. It's wonderful that when we have a plan and we have something to focus on, because, we mind really well. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Just we are very obedient type people. If we know that something's right, we're going to do it. But to have that vast world out there, and you wake up in the morning and you have it all in front of you with no direction, of course we're lost. We don't have an administrative side of the brain. Just like I say in the course that when I helped those people that had Asperger's, that my friend who was the doctor that talked to me about it, you can't have something that you don't have. You just have to figure out how to get it in there. So if you're not very creative and you want to be, then you take music lessons or you take art classes. There are people that couldn't draw very well and draw beautifully because they've taken classes. And if you don't have the left side of the brain, the administrative side, then you say, okay, well, how can I get that? And you get that by putting something tangible, because it's not in your head. It's simple. And society has really beaten the crap out of us. And, I understand it. It feels like lousy when your brother comes over who's, Mr. Perfection, sweet as could be, but still, he's looking around like, oh my God, why doesn't you do something? You can't help but feel that way. It's just the way it is. And we don't like it, so we want to change it. We don't want to change it for other people. We want to change it for us. But boy, it feels good when somebody comes over and says, oh, look at Betty Crocker. It does. It just feels good. All right. Anything else? Anyone? Anyone? I love Ferris Bueller. Okay, quick question. Sure, Olga, I'm here. Thank you, Marianne. I'm starting to work on Monday full time. Oh, thanks. You loved my video this morning. Thanks, Marianne. So tell me, you're starting to work on Monday full time, and I will not be able to attend the webinar at this time. It's recorded. It's recorded. It's in the members area. All right. And it's put on the Facebook page. All right. Okay. Now, Marianne, you said that you have a very small house, and I suppose that was your response to me saying how tiny my room was, and that it's just very not perfect. I live in a world with so many people that have a real lot, you know, like I didn't grow up in any kind of a situation where you didn't have enough. You know, we always had more than enough. And my family just, you know, they're cool. You know, they go on vacation on a regular basis. Their places, you know, they got the granite countertops and stuff. You know, they live a decent life. And not like I don't live a decent life. You know, I don't mean that, but you know, my house is old and I don't have the means to be like, all right, let's put up the sheetrock, let's redo the kitchen. It's just, you know, and I was, you know, the whole marriage situation. I don't care though, because like I said all the time, you know, I just want happy, you know, and it's all in your perspective. So there's that. Okay, yes, that is what you meant. All right. Okay. So they call it book pregnant. I have a friend. All right. Do you want me to read it? All right. You're just going to say, just read it. All right. All right. Bye, Marianne. All right. I'm going to read Terry's. Okay. They call it book pregnant. I have a friend that just published a book. Oh, cool. I'll look for it. Julie Kyber. Think you've seen her book on my Facebook page. My publisher could help with editing your book. Look forward to your book. Oh, thank you. I actually have had it edited, but I'm, you know, to get it, I'm just, I mean, I'm not going through a publisher that which I'm just going to put it on Kindle and on iTunes, you know, and then I guess if somebody likes it, they'll pick it up. But thank you so much. I mean, it really does help to know somebody's publisher because maybe if I put my book across their table, they'll read it. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks. Now you're going to be like, oh my God, don't contact her. Don't worry, I'm not going to contact her. All right. Yeah, ebooks are great. I mean, really, in this day and age, the way it is now, they're making more money than the what do you call it books. The people want to read them more. They just don't want to go out and buy anything, you know. Um, okay, let's see, Olga. Any book that you could recommend on self-discipline and being successful? Yeah, there are, and I'll put it on the Facebook page because I just can't think of them right now. I'll be like stumbling and babbling, but there really are. I have a bunch. All right, I heard about the Flylady. Okay, is that similar? Yes, actually, you know, Flylady, I read a book. Remember that book that I talked about that I read 20 some odd years ago, right? I read that book. Flylady read that book. And so our mentors are the same people, is actually the thing. Um, I went on Flylady years ago and I just, you know, first of all, I really didn't need what she had because I had it down. But I figured, you know, it's always good to get encouragement and, you know, everybody needs somebody all the time. So I went on her. She's not my cup of tea. She's lots of people's cup of tea. I always say that there's maybe 100 people that are preaching Jesus, but you only really hear two of them, you know, and then somebody else hears two different ones and doesn't hear those two that you hear. We all learn differently. We all accept different things. I'm not, I don't, I don't receive from her. But Flylady is a lot of people get a lot of help from her, and it's very similar. The core of the principles are exactly the same. We learn from the same people. You know, I say that in the class about Pam Young and Peggy Jones. All right, I'm going to X out now and say see you soon. And tomorrow is a review, but of course, you know that the reviews are just, you know, an overview. It's not detail, and um, they're always recorded. Okay. All right. All right. So take care and thank you for joining me for Coffee to Auction. I really appreciate it. Bye.